Hey there, Knicks fans. Welcome to the very first ever KFS pregame show presented by Knicks Film School here on the Knicks Film School YouTube channel. Shout out to everybody tuning in on YouTube, on Twitter, or on Facebook Live. My name, if you are joining for the very first time, is Andrew Claudio, also known as GMAC. Shout out to Robert Cross whenever you watch or listen. And I'm excited to introduce this new element to our Knicks coverage. I hope you enjoy it. We're going to try and do this anywhere from an hour to 90 minutes before every Knicks game. And we'll go for as long as it takes. I'm even more excited to introduce a couple of new faces to the KFS coverage of the New York Knicks. And first and foremost, you already know him most likely from the newest addition to our programming lineup known as KFS Study Hall, the Knicks Spaces King, Sean with a W. Sean, it's nice to welcome you to the YouTube channel, sir.
Thank you for having me. Am I a black screen?
No, you're on. You're on.
Oh, if for some reason I look like a black screen. Okay. No, thank you. That was far too kind of an introduction. The king of
I said no lies, sir. I said nothing that isn't factual, sir. So
God bless you.
Introductions. I sent everybody at KFS a memo this week. By the way, people who haven't at KFS done this yet, please fill out the questionnaire that I asked. We're trying to update the soon-to-be knicksfilmschool.com website. Your favorite Knick ever is who?
My favorite Knick. So, I if you asked me this 2 weeks ago, I would have said Derek Harper.
Okay.
And which is like that's digging in the crates. But the more I think about it, it's Patrick Ewing, and I say that because now that I'm the age that I am at, and full disclosure, I'm 41 years old.
Okay.
Now that I'm the age that I'm at, and seeing the discourse around this team when things go bad, and thinking about, and that's deserved, thinking about all the crap Ewing got when we were good and what he had to deal with makes me appreciate him even more. So he is my favorite Knick of all time, simply because of like he put it all on the line for us every day for good teams and got a bunch of crap for it.
Yeah,
so he's number one.
The funny part about Ewing's legacy, and every book I read about the Knicks in the 90s, is like the shit that some Knicks players have had to take during the current era of the Knicks. He was taking back then too, but they were winning. So like we didn't see it as much. And yet here we are. He's according to John's newsletter where he tried to go through the 75 greatest Knicks ever, he is the greatest Knick of all time, and I don't necessarily disagree. Hottest prediction for the upcoming season? No, you're muted. You're muted, Sean. You're muted.
How factual can it be?
No, as hot as you want. It doesn't have to be rooted in reality.
Okay, so
we predicted a championship or nothing.
No. Because I left a hot take on Twitter because someone asked a couple weeks ago, "What's your hottest take?" And I said that Thibodeau will be fired after we lose to Cleveland at home.
Yeah, the Cleveland game. Yeah.
But I'm actually going to go for something more realistic, and that is that either one of, and this is actually pertinent. This is actually makes sense considering the news that Ian Begley reported today. One of Julius Randle or Obi Toppin will be gone by the trade deadline.
That's a very reasonable hot take, and it's one that I hope Knicks fans are ready for what the potential answer is going to be too.
Because the answer may not be the one that they like.
Hold on. I just want to bet against John. You're right. The answer will not be one that they like. You're right. So for those who listened to the KFS podcast and heard John and I's outro to yesterday's crossover, he and I went back and forth with how many minutes Cam Reddish will play tonight. Who will play more minutes in the Knicks game tonight, me or Cam Reddish? And I said, Cam, I think he's going to play tonight. And he said, I bet you double or nothing on our Cam Reddish will get traded by the deadline. by opening night trade, whatever bet that was, that he would double or nothing.
That you gave him 10-1 odds on.
Yes, I give him 10-1 odds. I'd send him $10, he'd send me $1, and I said double or nothing. So Steph Bondy of the New York Daily News just tweeted out on replacing Grimes, in quotes. I'm not sure if he's quoting Tibbs or a source, but he's getting Cam Reddish will get first crack at it. So filling in the rotation will be Cam Reddish. John, I accept Venmo. The next member of the KFS crew that I'd like you all to meet. Most of you who have been watching post-game live streams on YouTube know this person already. May have been gotten into a spat with this person in the past. I happen to think he's quite brilliant, and I'm excited for all of you to meet him. Mr. XJ, welcome to the KFS pregame show, sir.
What's going on, AC? I appreciate the intro. You think I'm brilliant?
I do. I have gone on record. I think you also can give off that you're brilliant too.
I thought you were gonna say I think I'm brilliant, which that's true too. But
I was just, there might be a unanimous poll here that XJ is brilliant here. Part of it is that you're rooted in analytics, and that like drives you in your analysis, which I'm excited to add that element to the conversation when previewing these teams coming up. I know the answer, and I know it has to do a lot with what Knicks Film School has done lately, but your favorite Knick ever is who?
It is Jeremy Lin. Big fan of Jeremy Lin. Gave me the best 3 weeks as a Knicks fan of, the last 22 years. I started becoming a Knicks fan in 2000. So like right after there was anything real to root for and cheer for, and that, they were never good legitimately. So, I'll take the 3 weeks that I had of Lin sanity. That's definitely my number one player.
So you mean after 2013, when they were the 2 seed, they were never good, right?
Well, I don't want to get into it. I didn't feel real. I didn't feel like that season was real.
Okay. Well, it was fun having XJ on the show, but oh well.
I'm not a big Carmelo guy. Does that bother you?
I'm aware, because nobody who likes analytics likes Carmelo Anthony. I'm sorry that a contested Melo 2 is better than anybody else's open 3. Go ahead, Sean. What's up?
So and granted, I knew that season was not sustainable.
We're not doing this debate on the first show.
No, I'm not doing that. But what I'm saying is, you poo-poo the second best Knicks season this century for 3 weeks of Jeremy Lin.
Absolutely.
They made the conference finals in 2000.
In terms of how thrilling it was, like those 3 weeks, like I remember just being in college, like, and hearing in the gym, like Jeremy Lin just hit a buzzer beater against Toronto, and like running to the, like, it's all right. I missed the game live, so that says something in and of itself. But at the same time, like just those emotions that I felt, like way more than that Carmelo season. Like, I mean, it's just a personal emotional take, which is funny given the data perspective that I bring, but I accept it.
That is an episode of the KFS Study Hall.
Believe me, I know it's coming. I will also listen, Sean. I'm a mellow guy, so I'm gonna push back every chance I get. Lin's sanity exceeds legit anything that the Knicks have done, maybe ever, because this wasn't just a Knicks story. This was an NBA story. The president was talking about Jeremy Lin for those 3 weeks. This wasn't like, because I think even the most unreasonable Melo stan like me during 2013, it was like, yeah, but the Heat are right there. I'd like to see what the Knicks' chances are. They went 3-1 against the Heat that year. One of those games was without Melo. Two of those wins were in Miami. I wanted to see it. I wasn't gonna. The Knicks were gonna be the underdogs and probably lose that series, though. Although I think Indiana took them to 7. Having said that, there was no what is the ceiling of Linsanity, because it kept getting higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And it's like, well, maybe they're going to win the title by the end of it because it's Jeremy Lin and this doesn't make sense, but who cares? This is fun. So that's why I'll back up the hype behind it. I will not co-sign the Melo slander, though.
It was so unexpected that, like, just factor that in, that it came out of nowhere. And like you said, like the ceiling just kept going. It's like, this can't continue. And the next game it would. And you're like, this can't continue. And the next game, it went even higher. Like, just the emotional roller coaster of it, I think, is why I have such fond memories about it.
That's fair. Listen, I agree, and co-sign on behalf of Knicks Film School on the coverage of this documentary that we just did. Next up, adding to our final member of this pregame show that I'm excited for all of you to meet. If you're a patron, you already know who this person is. He's been joining us on town halls since they've started. Way back when we did the Saturday morning club locker rooms, and what then became Spotify Green Room. This is where we met this person. I'm excited to add, financially excited to add his knowledge and his coverage to the KFS crew. Mensa, welcome to Knicks Film School, sir. So let's get the pleasantries out the way. Your favorite Knick ever is?
I have a very weird answer. My favorite Knick ever is Pablo Prigioni. For what he did on those 2013 Knicks, my favorite Knicks ever. I just love that he was an irritant, and if I had to pick like a more like mainstream answer, it would easily be Carmelo Anthony because of the fact that he came here not when nobody else wanted to come here, but like Amari was here and everything, but he kind of made us legit for the first time in my life. So I would say Carmelo Anthony is my favorite Knick if I couldn't choose Pablo Prigioni.
Same. Yes, very, very much same. I encourage all of you, and I'm going to ask the guys to do this. Adjust your name so that they have your Twitter handles if you'd like in there. Follow Mensa on Twitter because he sends out his gambling picks every night. And I've only recently decided to let's just see how hot Mensa's doing right now. And let's just say there's a wedding fund that's gotten a little more lucrative. Thank you to the gambling picks from Mensa. So these fine gentlemen are going to help us with our coverage throughout the season and all of their different areas of expertise. And I'm excited to get started in doing that. We should, and you guys get to be here for the first ever time that you get to see these live. We've got some super chats, fellas, just for you. So first of all, Aussie Knicks fan. This is for when Sean was just up here. Matt, Aussie Knicks fan. Welcome, Sean. Hyped for a real game today. So what's up, Matt? He also says to the entire new crew, welcome to the so just XJ. Welcome to the KFS family, XJ. And then one more. Welcome, Mensa. KFS is growing. We love to see it. Thank you to our friend from down under. We have a large contingent of KFS fans over in Australia. So thank you, Aussie Knicks fan. And then XJ, this is just for you. Bernard Richardson, welcome, XJ. What mic do you have? Pause. Sound A1.
I mean, it's just a generic Blue Yeti, but I appreciate the compliment. I'm glad it's sounding clean and crispy. That's good.
It's you have the cushion on it, which is what
I got the cushion.
Makes sure the pop doesn't happen. John used to have the same mic, then we flipped it upside down. I understand why pause was inserted into that statement, but we will not continue with that conversation. Okay, let's get into the offseason. So we talked a little bit about this when we did our demo a couple weeks ago. So I don't want to rehash too much of it. Rather than not going to, because we don't want to be here until right before tip-off. But Sean, I'll start with you. If you had to give a grade on the Knicks off season, and I actually think it's funny we're doing this now because when we did our demo, we had no preseason to go off of. So maybe the calibration and the grades have changed now that you actually see what it looks like. So Sean, A through F scale or A through F grading scale, what would you give the Knicks off season?
And I'm not allowed to give like pluses or minuses.
If you want to, yeah. You're okay. Classroom professor.
All right. I would give it a B plus. Kind of want to give it an A minus. And the reason why I was thinking about A minus is that the reason why people won't give it an A is because of the acquisition of a player who we will not mention on this broadcast. But I remember around the trade deadline when apparently we had all these unmovable contracts that we couldn't get rid of, that nobody wanted, and then poof, somehow they were gone. And of course, some people will say, "Well, you took us the 11th pick," like because Giannis was sitting there at 11 for us, right? So getting rid of the vets getting rid of those veteran pacifiers that head coach loves, bringing in easily the best point guard this team will have had in this century.
Maybe Jeremy Lin. And if you want to go longer, sustainable, which I don't even know what Lin could have been, but like Stephon Marbury, Jeremy Lin, Jalen Brunson.
Bringing him in, bringing back Mitch on a reasonable and, as John always says, movable contract. The Hartenstein signing is, and I'm not probably Hartenstein. Hartenstein. Getting him 2 years, $8 million, I believe. That's a really low key under the radar signing. So all in all, the Knicks had business to take care of to try to improve their team. Now, it would have been an A+ if a certain player was no longer on this team, but you can't always get what you want.
I wonder what redacted player you might be referring to. XJ, I want your grade, and knowing how you analyze this stuff, just like, I guess, analytically, how much better did the Knicks get this offseason by adding someone like Brunson and some of the other veterans that are no longer on this team?
Yeah, I mean, I agree a lot with Sean's take. So I got it at a B-. I think about it in terms of what they did and what they didn't do, right? So what they did is they signed Brunson and Hartenstein to like excellent deals. I think those are amazing contracts. Re-signed RJ to an excellent deal. I think seeing Hero's deal, seeing Jordan Poole's deal, I'm like, wow, RJ looks amazing in comparison because I think he's better than both of those players. Mitch on a solid deal, I think that could go either way. I don't think that was the best. And then what they didn't do, they didn't trade RJ 3 first-round picks and other young talent for Donovan Mitchell. I'd take that as a win. That puts their grade up for me. So not getting Mitchell doesn't put their grade down. I think the Mitchell thing was dead December 2021. So do we know what happened in December 2021?
What?
Danny Ainge went to Utah and became their president of basketball operations. So I think that deal was dead at that point, unless we were going to get fleeced. If we were going to get fleeced, the grade would be at like a C- or something like that. The biggest problem is what Sean said to me is that they didn't move Randle. Like, let's just be real about it. I think it also lowers the ceiling of what the team could be. Analytically, I think Brunson really does take them up a level in terms of the comparison from the point guard situation last year. I think also underrated is Quickly's improvement, Toppin's improvement. I think all of those things really bring them up. Hartenstein is like a huge improvement over any backup that they had. Noel for however many games he played. And any other Jericho, honestly, Hartenstein's much better than Jericho at this point in his career. So yeah, I think they're a lot improved, and I think the offseason was really good. So yeah, I got it at a B-.
That was Taj Gibson slander right there, and that's like a note. That's like in the bylaws of KFS. So
that's true. That's true. Although Taj did get roasted on the Wizards by like multiple Knicks.
This is more Taj Gibson slander. So I don't know how much. I don't know if you're trending in the right direction here, XJ. Mensa, what about you? And look, the Julius Randle thing is gonna be there until he proves otherwise. I will say, and this is my observation, the one post game that I did, this was John's observation throughout the preseason. The version we've got from him, 2 turnovers in 4 games, he's deferring a little more. And I'll extend this to the rest of the group too. But Mensa, we'll start with you. Your grade for the offseason, and is there a workable version of Julius Randle that is actually a productive player on this team for this season?
I'm actually really happy that you saved me for last with this segue, because that's kind of where I'm leaning with my grade. So I give this team a B+ for the draft, for the offseason, just because I think what they did in the draft was very savvy. They didn't have a player that they loved, and for the next 12 months, Knicks fans, please prepare yourself to hear about how great Tari Eason is and all the other guys that we could have had. They weren't going to play here, so let's forget about that. Taking an asset that we weren't going to use and then flipping it to 3 first-round picks. Well, we netted 3 first-round picks. I thought that was really great. The Brunson deal and the Isaiah Hartenstein deals, I love them. I think that Isaiah Hartenstein is a gigantic upgrade over Nerlens Noel, And I think that Jalen Brunson is going to prevent us from having so many fourth quarter collapses where the bench and the kids take us up in February, and then we insert Alec Burks with 6 minutes left to go, and you might as well just turn your TV off. So I think that adding those two guys was huge for this team. I like that we kept our core together, and I don't give them too much like slack for not being able to move Evan Fournier or Julius Randle for two reasons. One, I think they fit with Jalen Brunson, and two, I think that you're kind of knocking them for last offseason. Because to me, we're talking specifically about the offseason. So not trading Julius Randle isn't really like a knock on this offseason as much as it's a knock on last offseason. Like if you want to say that the 2021 free agency period was an F because we extended Julius Randle, signed Evan Fournier, and signed Kemba Walker, that's very fair. But for this offseason, we added, and I think the non-trade that you can talk about is the Donovan Mitchell one. But let's talk about Julius Randle. I think that he's embracing, and it's good that we're having this right before game one because we had the preseason to judge it on. I think he's embracing this role as like this bizarro Julius Randle almost, where he's deferring to a third role. He's letting RJ Barrett and Jalen Brunson shoot the ball more than him, and he's kind of leaning into his ability to tilt defenses and then spraying the ball out to an RJ Barrett or to an Evan Fournier or to a Jalen Brunson, and is allowing those guys to lead, and he's kind of like guiding from like the middle of the pack, which is kind of what you want from Julius Randle. When we first got him, I thought that, and I was very high on Julius Randle when we first signed his contract because I saw a guy who had a 600 true shooting percentage, averaged 20 points, 9 rebounds in New Orleans, and just needed an opportunity. And then he came to New York to a place where I don't think the opportunity was too big for him, but they kind of gave him carte blanche, and that's not what you do with a player like Julius Randle, who clearly needs structure, which is why they put him on which is why they put him like on the bench, because they didn't trust him in other spots as a starter, despite his immense talent, being picked seventh overall in the 2014 draft. So Julius Randle is finally on a roster where he's trusted as a starter, but is also being reined in by a disciplinarian in Tom Thibodeau, and by just having guys who are better than him and paid more than him, average annual value, with RJ Barrett and Jalen Brunson making more money than him. So whether he thinks he's the third banana or not, his contract says he is. So if he can embrace that role and play like that, then I think we'll be revisiting the Julius Randle contract in a couple months. So I'm happy that we kept Julius Randle today. I understand Obi Toppin is a huge point of contention for Knicks fans. You either think he's a superstar or you think he's an all-star. But as of right now, I like Julius Randle's passing in this unit. So that's where I leave it.
Sean, what about you? Can they make it work with Julius? Did you like what you saw in the preseason?
I liked what I saw. My thing is, what happens is when the shit hits the fan, people, you don't rise to the occasion, you sink to your level of training. And when the shit hits the fan, maybe Julius will go back to what he wants to do, which is to dominate the ball, 18-footers, long twos, whatever. It's interesting with Julius because on one hand, he knows if he tries the stuff that he did last year, he's gonna be even worse for him this year in this town. But at the same time, he has to know that if he plays better and fits into a role that will be best for him, it probably leads to him being traded. So what is he going to do, right? I would think that because of what we saw of Julius last year and how much we realize how reactive he could be to criticism and not nice things being said about him, and we'll exclude like the stupid stuff like the COVID stuff with us, just idiotic, right? But the constructive, fair criticism, I think that he would rather avoid that than to say, well, you know what, I'm just going to do me and just stay here and they just have to deal with it. I remember when, during the 2020-21, during the We Here season, near at the end of it, I was talking to somebody I think it was on Clubhouse, and they were saying that Julius could have very easily said, "I'm not taking this extension. I'm playing for I'm gonna, pick up my option, and I'll just play for the full 250." But in the back of his mind, he knew that he wasn't that guy. And as tempting as it was, now I don't know. Now, as tempting was to say, let me play one more year on this team option, see if I get that 250. He knew that he would not be able to recreate that. And imagine if Julius was as a free agent and had the season he had last year, right? Then he'd be on 1 year, 15 million somewhere, right? So I think it behooves him to buy in, because one, while the front office still believes in him and Tibbs to a certain extent still believes in him, he has to know that his political capital in this city is very, very, very small. And if he pulls any of that, I've said this to anyone who will listen. If Friday he's 10 to 23 from the field and taking long twos, game one, it's going to get toxic. Yeah. And he has to know that.
So XJ, again, and I'll have you wrap this segment up with, did you like what you saw in the preseason? Can Julius be that version? And I also ask this knowing that I'm asking the president of the OB Hive. So what do you think on this issue?
I really don't get all of this praise for Julius's preseason, to be honest. I don't know if we were watching the same games, or I'm not really sure. I'm pretty sure he shot 43% from the field, 27% from three. Lower turnovers, but his usage was way down. So I'm not really sure where all the praise is coming from. I didn't see Julius look amazing, better than last year for sure, but I think it's kind of impossible for him to look worse than last year. Do you want to clarify that, AC? Or
so more what I'm saying, because his usage was way down, he's not dominating the ball as much. Yes, the 3-point shooting, if that's bad, there's just no coming back for that. He's going to have to become a threat for the starting lineup to be the best version of it possible.
Right.
Was there a game in the preseason he took the most shots on the team?
No,
which is more of the point that I'm trying to make. He was fine being the third role, the third.
I guess
guy.
I see it like we have a bad player that's like dominating the ball less, which is cool. Yeah, we would not want to have a bad player dominating the ball, but also we would also just not want to have a bad player, right? Okay. That's how I view it. Yeah, for sure he is playing off ball more, is passing more, his usage rating is way down. All of that stuff is great, but I would prefer it to be 0. I would prefer him to be out of the lineup and traded. And I just wanted to say, because I appreciated Mentz's perspective about last year, signing Randle kind of is a mistake of that time, and now kind of not moving on from him is more of an indictment on what we did before. But I view it more that's a sunk cost. We signed Randle. That's a sunk cost. It was a mistake. It's time to move on from that mistake. And I would attach an unprotected first to be able to move on from that mistake and not compound on it by stunting Obi's development and stunting the ceiling of this team by forcing Randle into this lineup that he doesn't really fit into, unless I think he has to be really efficient, and I don't see him as ever being an efficient player. I feel like he needs to be successful in spots, and I don't think he can do that. So that's my view on it.
What year are you putting that unprotected first in for Julius Randle? With Julius Randle,
I'd have to look at what the unprotected firsts are. I
if you're doing this year's, then Jeremy might suddenly swoop in and be like, so the Wembanyama draft, you're giving
no
unprotected first?
I mean unprotected first, one of the ones that we have that's not our pick.
All right, that's not, so those are all protected.
Those are protected.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said unprotected. I meant protected.
Right.
I would not send an unprotected first. I apologize
get Randle
for that.
out of here.
I meant protected. No, not unprotected. That's not unprotected at all. Protected first to get Randle out. I don't want to lose all my credibility that quickly.
The Dallas pick, the Washington pick, whichever. Yeah. I also would. Yes. And I think that's been a sentiment over the last month or so.
Yeah.
So my fear on this, because I actually do think he played, maybe the deeper numbers don't say that he played better, but like you said, he could not play worse. He was better than last season when he was worse than almost every high volume player in the league. And the only other one that was worse is the reason why LeBron's probably never going to win a championship again. I actually think there is a version of him, if he's okay, like having a couple games where he takes 9 shots and he just goes like 5 of 9 that game, and dear Lord, makes 1 of 3 from 3. I'll settle for that at this point, Julius. Like, that's fine. Like, he is an elite rebounder. I do think his passing is good. He's got that pick and pop with RJ, and he sets up the guys on the perimeter a lot better than I think we give him credit for. My bigger worry is that he does improve, and it would improve his trade value. And the front office is like, see, he's fine. We're good. We don't have to trade him. We're going to add to this nucleus by getting rid of, like you said, the younger players that we don't know their ceilings just yet, which I think could be, malpractice in certain circles. But
can I say one last thing, AC?
Yeah, go ahead.
The thing that you just said. So I totally agree with that. I think it's almost a lose-lose situation with Randle. If he plays really well, they're going to want to keep him. If he plays really poorly, they're going to be stuck with him and aren't going to be able to trade him. And so I'm not looking forward to that. I think I feel like I'm trapped, and I feel like I see no way out of this Randle mess, and I'm just angry about it. So that's why I Freudianed out unprotected first.
Listen, I got it. I understood where the passion came from. You almost wanted to give the Donovan Mitchell deal, like, to get rid of Julius.
Right.
Like, we'll give 3 unprotecteds, RJ Barrett, and a 48 dump just so we can get Randle off. Quick super chat before we get into some Memphis conversations. TK, thank you for the contribution. Welcome, guys. Happy to see new faces around here. Happy to have these new faces around here to help us break down and preview the Knicks game against the Memphis Grizzlies. So I'm actually going to go right back to you, XJ. The Grizzlies went 56-26 last season, 2 seed in the Western Conference. I forget the stat, but John and I were tracking it on Patreon during our pods throughout the year when we were doing power rankings. Their numbers without John Morant, guy who made second team All-NBA and won most improved player, there were something like 20-3, not like 21-5, something like that last season. And you don't
21
usually
5.
21-5.
20-5.
20-5. You don't normally see that when the team's best player is missing and the team still thrives regardless, especially in the Western Conference. Deeper look at the numbers. How good was Memphis last year, and can they replicate it this year?
Yeah, so I'm glad we're going to this on a deeper look at the numbers. Actually looking at the numbers when Ja was out, a lot of them come from the middle of the season when Ja was hurt, and Memphis went 10-2 in that time and had crazy shooting luck, like unsustainable shooting luck that would have happened whether he was there or not. So I think we can throw out a lot of the are they better without Ja? Were they better without Ja? Like, I don't think the numbers support that at all. At the same time, I think Ja was a little overrated last year in terms of just how good he was overall and his impact on the game until we got to the playoffs. I think we saw in the playoffs, especially the beginning of the Warriors series, what Ja could be, which was like completely unguardable and unstoppable, especially late in those Warriors playoff games before he got hurt. Looking at the numbers, I do think Memphis was around like a 52-54 win team, 5th in net rating. They were kind of, their bread and butter was forcing turnovers and scoring on the break. So they had a league high 15% of their points that came from fast breaks. They were number one in the league in percentage of points coming in the paint, number 1 in the league in steals. So they like to steal the ball, force turnovers, get out and run. I think that is consistent with how we see them as like a high flying John Morant dunking on the fast break. But everything else kind of middling, kind of average, nothing else too crazy. They're just really solid. They play really hard, and I think that's sustainable over the course of a season. So I think, I don't think they were too overrated. I think they'll probably do similarly to what they did last year, maybe a few games less.
Sean, what about you? The Twitterverse they have some thoughts about tonight's game. I certainly, which Mental, you'll be able to help me see if I made the right choice. I've committed to the Knicks winning tonight, maybe a certain money line. But Sean, the expectation from Knicks fans, how disappointing will it be if you lose tonight, while recognizing this is a 56-win team that they're about to go into their building on opening night and play game 1?
I mean, there's always a segment of the fan base that thinks that we can beat anybody, and they're very loud and vocal. And God bless them, I appreciate them. And listen,
Mhm.
this is the Memphis Grizzlies. This ain't the '86 Celtics, right? They can be beat. Um, and there's a section of Twitter that's just happy to see this team play basketball every day, and like you'll see them even like going into the 2021 season when we were all locked in our houses and we had no idea what was going on, and we would have been happy to take the 10 seed. There are people just happy to see what's going on. So I was actually looking at Twitter, and I was just like what stood out to me in terms of the mood. And a lot of it is joy that we have a point guard, a legitimate point guard, which I don't think can be stated enough. And if you're not a Knicks fan and you're watching this, one, God bless you. Two, you don't understand how much we've run a point guard. Then there's the Knicks basketball is back, obviously like that, the optimism, just want to see the team play basketball. Then you have your people whining about Stephen A on First Take. And I'm going to say this on wax here. If you are a Knicks fan and you watch First Take, you are a masochist. So just keep that in mind. Like, if you I don't understand how people could constantly complain about this dude, but you're watching all the time. Like, he got you. And then a lot about Cam, because it looks like Cam is going to, if not start, I haven't seen the starting lineup yet, but he's going to get minutes. He's going to get a lot of minutes tonight. And Cam is on his 9th life. And I think there's a lot of scuttlebutt on Twitter about Cam. Do not screw this up, because this is probably your last chance. So overall, listen, beginning of the season, everyone is 0-0. Unbridled optimism is abound. That's just like for us. That happens with us and every other fan base out there, except for right now the Sixers and the Lakers. So I would say overall the mood is good, but the mood may change around 10:30 Eastern time, depending on the result of the game.
Yeah, my mood will absolutely be determined by then, and part of it is because a week ago I got that Knicks money line at a decent price, and it's why I'm going to bring Mensa in here. Do you have a good parlay for tonight that you'd recommend to everybody? Do you have a couple prop bets that you'd recommend? And I assume we're going with the fine folk. We don't have a sponsor just yet, but the fine folks over at FanDuel are going to help us out tonight. So how's it looking tonight, Mensa?
Okay, so I jumped on my favorite prop bet of the night for the Knicks is Jalen Brunson over 18.5 points. I don't.
They have the line at 18.5.
When I took it, it was at 18.5. I don't know where it is right now.
Okay, just open the app. Don't worry.
I'm gonna go.
Looking at it right now.
Yeah, I don't think there's been much movement on it because people are generally low on the Knicks nationally, I would say. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys saw, but on Twitter when the contract was announced for Jalen Brunson, a lot of NBA players were defending Jalen Brunson, like, no, you guys don't know what you're talking about here. And a couple of those guys are Memphis Grizzlies. So they know what they know what Jalen Brunson can do. I have never seen Ja Morant play defense in my life. I don't know about you guys. And then on top of that, what Jalen Brunson is going to be able to do as a first option, we saw that. We saw that the last time we saw it. He was playing the Utah Jazz, which are a top 5 defense, and he was unceremoniously roasting those boys. So I like that 18.5. You're telling me that he has to score 19 points and I get paid? Yeah, give me that all day. So that's my favorite prop. I also like the parlay that I put in tonight. I took all straight lines. I parlayed Jalen Brunson points at 18.5, Julius Randle assists at 4.5, and I think I got Mitchell Robinson rebounds at 8.5, and that's hidden for a little under 8-1. I think I got it like 7, in between 750 and 800. So I don't know if those lines move too much, but that's my parlay for the night. My favorite non-NBA line, when I took it this morning, I could not believe what I was seeing. Not non-NBA, Knicks line was they had. I'm sorry, it's still funny to me. They had Damian Lillard points at 23.5 against the Sacramento Kings.
Oh,
can't believe it. I think when I last checked, it moved to 24.5. that line is still like 4 points too low. They should have Damian Lillard at 28.5 against the Kings. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. The Kings. It's not like De'Aaron Fox is a great defender. Who's the shooting guard out there?
Well, Keegan Murray's not playing now, so not him.
They're not known for defense. It's not like Domantas Sabonis is some great rim protector. I don't see, the only thing that will keep Damian Lillard from scoring 30 points tonight is foul trouble or like a bad hamstring. I think FanDuel is betting that he's not 100%, but from my research, Dame sounds like he's ready to go, and if Dame is ready to go, he can score 25 points and a half.
So I'm gonna jump in real quick and say the Knicks are currently +4, minus 110 in Memphis tonight, and plus 152 on the money line. I got them last week at plus 230, so I feel a lot more comfortable. Over under for the game is 226.5. You are right, 18.5 is still the RJ point.
Slam it, hammer it.
Can I add another
RJ
one
or Brunson?
That's what you said. Brunson. RJ's 20 and a half. Can I tell you an under I like?
Sure.
Julius Randle, 19.5.
Yeah, I love that.
Just I'm a believer in third option Julius and potentially. Now the only thing I'll say is Jaren Jackson Jr. is not playing tonight. So it's also why Mitch 7.5 points is a number I'm staring at too.
You know, on the Jaren Jackson line, I don't think that favors Julius Randle as much as it favors RJ Barrett, because RJ Barrett's going to continue to drive to the rim like on the first dribble, and not having a rim protector means that there are two things. It means that RJ Barrett will be taking a lot of shots. He'll either make them or Mitchell Robinson will grab a lot of rebounds. For Julius Randle likes to hold the ball and allow the defense to congregate to him. So it doesn't matter who's guarding him because that's more help defense. And I think Memphis will be able to play decent enough help defense to keep Julius Randle in check and have him spray the ball out to guys like RJ Barrett, who will be moving at the perimeter, Evan Fournier, and even passing to a cutting Jalen Brunson. So I'm high on Julius Randle's assist tonight. Scoring, I just don't think the shots will be there. I think because in the preseason, he was like sixth in shots. Like Obi took more shots than him. RJ took more shots than him. Jalen took more shots than him. Quickly took more shots than him. He was like low on the list. So Julius Randle is really more of a volume scorer. So if Julius Randle is not taking between like 16 and 20 shots a game, then I don't like his points.
So here's the betting slip I'm staring at right now. So Jalen Brunson over 20 points to score at least 20 points. That's the thing. It's plus 124 for him just to score 20 points or more. Mitchell Robinson over 8.5 rebounds. Julius Randle over 4.5 assists. Can RJ hit 3 threes tonight? Didn't he do that in each preseason game? So
for me, I am one of RJ Barrett's 3 biggest supporters. Between it's his mom, his dad, and then it's me.
And then
so I know that about myself. So I tend to stay away from RJ Barrett lines. Okay. I think the jump shot is real. I think that he will have the volume tonight. And I'm not too fond of Desmond Bane's short arms. So is Desmond Bane, does he have short arms? I think he does.
So notoriously short arms, yeah.
Notoriously short arms. There you go.
Which means he can't close out. So I like the 3-pointers. I just won't be taking them because RJ Barrett is entirely too close to my heart for me to see that with sober eyes.
I will say this. The fact that it's plus 154 on over 2.5 threes, on one hand, it's like, oh, that's juicy. On the other hand, it's like, why are you plus 154?
Yeah. Because... Can I tell you the other one that I like in that? It's plus 116 for Julius to have under 1.5 threes to made tonight.
Love it.
There's a 1 for 6 or 1 for 4 from 3 staring at me right now. The problem is he's going to go 2 for 7, and that's not going to be good. But the over will hit. My only law with gambling, I'm like, this is my first year where I'm going to do the Bill Simmons like betting laws, is where like I'm done with Evan Fournier bets. You'd think over 1.5 rebounds is gettable. Let me tell you how many 1 rebound games he was getting last year, where I was like, just one long rebound. That's all I'm asking for. One more long rebound. And that's all I'm asking for.
Betting on Evan Fournier to get 2 rebounds on the team of Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson.
It's two rebounds from your starting two guards.
It's just an awful way to watch the game, though. Like just waiting for the second rebound to bounce off.
Rebounds. There's 100 shots a game, guys. You tell me he can't
plays
get
too far away. He plays too far away from the basket.
You're not wrong. I go for the lowest attainable number is my point. And the worst part is I'll be like, fine, I'm off at the next game. And then the next game, first quarter, I got this rebound. I got this one too. I got 2 for the game. And then I'll look stupid. I think I'm out on betting Philly, by the way, betting the Sixers. And here's why. Last night, I had a Philly parlay because I was very successful betting Philly through the weekend between the Phillies and the Flyers and the Eagles. So yesterday, I had a Philly parlay of the Flyers, the Eagles, and the Sixers. And what did those losers in Philly do in Boston last night? They went against the Celtics and lost. So I'm officially out on the Sixers for the year. Not betting them once. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Joel Embiid, for choosing last night to remind us why you weren't the MVP. Thank you, James Harden, for reminding us last night why you're a loser and always will be a loser. I say all of this like from the comfort of my couch. I know. I'm also just more annoyed that the hard one was the Flyers one. Like they were down 2-0 in Tampa and they came back and won. I was like, I just need the Sixers to like win in Boston against it's a rookie head coach, but no, apparently that was too difficult.
You could always bet Phillies games. I know how much you love them. So
man, it's so stupid. It is so stupid. 162 games gets minimized to this.
Bryce Harper's healthy
in the National League.
Fine, that's true. The American League,
it's 1 versus 2.
It's 1 versus 2. But there were 3 100-win teams in the National League, is my point. And now there's 2 80-plus win teams battling it out for the trip to the World Series. The Padres were the 5 seed. Both teams didn't clinch a playoff berth until the last week of the season. So stupid. So stupid. And to your point, XJ, you're right. Like Bryce Harper healthy helps. You know, it also helps winning games against the other 2 teams in your division. And you know how many times they beat the Mets in 19 tries this year? 4. Yeah, so I get to watch this team potentially go to a World Series, and okay, I did not mean for this. Did not mean. Who are the Mets?
I shouldn't have mentioned it. I should have mentioned it.
Okay, good luck, Yankee fans tonight. By the way, Astros in 6. Before we get out of here, Mensa, you went got your. I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah. Who are these guys?
It's who are
Only
these guys?
man I know is Steve Cohen. And that's
yes. Yes. That should be a fun off season. Before we get out of here, let's wrap up with some final thoughts about tonight's game. I said this to John on the show last night, or I guess technically today. I'm actually very curious to see a close game in the fourth quarter because I want to see what this offense looks like when it's not a blowout, which is all we got in the preseason. Yeah, the third game against the Pacers was close, but he left the bench in the entire second half. So we didn't really get to see what their closing lineup might look like. I'm very curious to see what this team looks like. 5 minutes left, tie game, down 3 or 4 even, up 3 or 4 even. I want to see what those situations look like because that will tell me what's different between this year and last year's team. Can they protect a lead in the fourth quarter? Can they come back from a lead in the fourth quarter? Can they win a close game in the fourth quarter? So that's what I'm most looking forward to tonight. Sean, your final thoughts. What you're most looking forward to tonight?
I'm looking forward to how many minutes Obi plays. If Tom Thibodeau has learned his lesson from last year, if is he going to stick with his hockey lineup changes, or if he's going to find ways to get his best players on the floor. Now, granted, he may think that Quentin Grimes is one of his best players and Quentin Grimes is out. But to your point, last 5 minutes of the game, what is he going to do? Is he going to ride the hot hand? He's going to go back to the starters. Is he going to give Julius a long leash? I'm actually, as I think about it more, I'm very curious to see, because we haven't spoken about him much during this show, what the head coach does. Because if the head coach is 8-16, with that 16th loss being to the Cavs, where Donovan Mitchell scores 41, 12, and 17, 41, 12, and 17, that would be amazing. 41, 12, and 9, that will be it for him. But we've crushed Julius, and rightfully so, for all of his shenanigans last season. But we have not focused as much on the head coach who gave him carte blanche to do whatever he wanted, thinking, all right, he'll turn it around. He never did. So that's what I'm interested in seeing tonight. How Tom Thibodeau, because yes, all this, deuce at the 3 and all these other cute lineups that you run in preseason, that's cool. But when, as I said earlier, when the shit hits the fan, people do not rise to the occasion. They sink to their level of training. And if there's one person that will always sink to his level of training, unless the fear of God is in him, it's Tom Thibodeau.
All right, XJ, final thoughts before tonight's game.
That is a perfect segue, because I think Randle is – I really want to see if low usage Randle is legit. Can he contain himself when the games count, or is Sean right about both Tibbs and Randle? Obi's minutes is what I was gonna say, but I gotta diversify a little bit. I think the other thing is just, can the Knicks take care of the ball against Memphis? Like, if you turn the ball over against Memphis, you're gonna get blown out. It's pretty direct. Like, the correlation is almost 1-to-1. If you turn it over, you're getting blown out of the game. So, and I think a lot of that's gonna be, is Randle dribbling too much? Is he turning it over? Is he like trying to be the alpha again, or can he play that third fiddle? We'll see if the preseason was real, or is he revert back to his old ways?
Over under 19 minutes for Obi tonight. I'll put it 18 and a half. Under,
unfortunately, under.
I think I'd take the under too. And I'm sure people will have reactions to that afterwards. Mensa, final thoughts before tonight's game.
So with tonight being game 1, to me, it's kind of like, what am I looking for through this season? And I mean, nothing else. Nothing matters more than who RJ Barrett is. I'm looking forward to, especially because starting at Memphis, you're in John Morant's house. John Morant just got this max contract that you didn't get. He was picked one slot before you. And then his backcourt partner, Desmond Bane, is somebody that half the league, 85% of the league, thinks is better than you. Right? So there's a lot of internal narratives for RJ Barrett specifically that can drive him. And I want to see who he is in this raucous Memphis environment, and if year 4 RJ is exactly who I believe him to be, because I'm a gigantic supporter of that kid. I think we will go this season where he takes us. I think we know more than not who Jalen Brunson is. We know who Julius Randle is. Obi Toppin's improving, but he's coming off the bench, so there's only so much impact he can have. Mitchell Robinson, more or less, we know who he is. RJ Barrett's the wild card. So starting tonight, I think this is RJ's road to the All-Star break. I think he's going to be an All-Star this year, and he has to come out with the bang against Memphis, because his biggest thing has been consistency. He starts out hot, but I need him from game 1 to put his foot on the gas. And to quote my favorite head coach in the NFL right now, all gas, no break.
Hell yeah. RJ. Goddamn right, all gas, no breaks. Got me a football team to watch, finally. Shout out to the Giants as well. New York, both teams are good. And yes, those are the only 2 New York teams we acknowledge. And on the XJ,
it's just you can't get ahead of yourself, Andrew. Like, you got to learn your lesson from the Mets.
What fun is that? I look back and be like, I was measured in my expectations, and now I missed out on all that fun. No, I enjoyed it in the moment. That's how it should work. Okay,
that's how I do it.
You're probably right. Don't get me wrong. Doesn't mean I want to do that. I'm okay being wrong in this. Okay, thank you, everybody. Go ahead. Sorry, Mensa, go ahead. One more.
More betting advice. This Monday, I locked in Jets to make the playoffs at plus 230. And if you look at their schedule, I'm just saying.
I had them at 2-4 at this point in the season, and said their back half of their schedule is weak. So
they're 4-2. We're going to Denver on Sunday, and they don't have a quarterback right now. Russell Wilson may not be playing, so we could be 5-2 going into the Patriots.
They might not have a quarterback if he plays, but that's a conversation for a different show.
Plus 230. That's all I'm saying.
I have a Jets-Giants parlay next week, although that Jacksonville game is is going to be tough. Anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in for the very first edition of the KFS pregame show. Thank you to Sean. Thank you to XJ. Thank you to Mensa. Look forward to seeing more of them throughout the season. Knicks tip off at 7:30 on ESPN, as well as I'm trying to think where else they play. If this game's on MSG tonight, is this game also on MSG tonight?
I've been trying to find that out.
I think it's the national game of the tip off. Regardless, Knicks tip off at 7:30. If you would like to watch it with John and I, you can join us on Playback. That is a service that we use with all of our patrons. If you'd like to join us there, feel free to. We'll be on stage at 7:30 as well for the opener. And as always, join Chris at halftime on the KFS Twitter account, and then join John on this channel, as well as on Facebook Live and on Twitter after the game for the first post game of the year. Take care, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and go Knicks. What's up, Sean?
Go Knicks, and I look forward to playing the Houston Astros when trash cans and buzzers maybe won't be involved.
Are not involved. Yes. Good luck. Good luck to all of you that still watch this sport that's so foreign to me throughout the next week and a half. Good luck.
Go Knicks.
Go Knicks.